the LRZ effect. And obviously we talked about receivers. We talked about the of him playing possibly a little running back, a little receiver, a little bit of everything. I've had some hesitancy here. I'm not going to lie. I've been pretty, not skeptic, but I want to pump the brakes on it a little bit because I don't want to set these high expectations on a guy that, he may end up not really doing anything. And that's my whole thing with this. But last week, our guy Dave Toub, 4 days ago, Dave Toub, special teams coach, talked about utilizing him as a kicker, and we talked about Justin Reed doing that. But now they're talking about using him as a kicker, and we're going to go into what Dave Toub had to say about our guy LRZ.
He's Louis has done above and beyond what I expected. I mean, he can kick field goals. I mean, he can kick off he could be a kickoff guy for us. I mean, he's every bit as good as Justin is moving the football and stuff like that on kickoffs. And he's really working hard at the returner job. I got him in there as a starter right now, so he gets as many reps as he can. But he's a student of the game. He comes in after practice. He wants to be great. He's a great athlete. He's just got such a long way to go, football mentally wise. I mean, these guys been playing since 4th grade, and he hasn't played football until now. So there's a long way to go, with that part of it. But he's on the accelerated program. He's doing well.
So kind of a mixed review there, a lot of good, but then also, he's got a long way to go, which I've been saying all along. But tonight we're gonna look at some film of LRZ kicking field goals, catching balls, and whatnot. But before we get to that, JD, what do you make of what Dave Toub had to say about LRZ?
I as a special teams coach, former special teams coach, I agree with Dave. I think there's some validity there, what he's talking about, especially with the new kickoff rules. If you could see a guy, what he has the ability to do, why not try him out? Because it's all about seeing what you can find. And so if a guy can help you in special teams, and that's the third phase of the game, right? Offense, defense, special teams, I think some people just kind of leave out. They think just kicking field goals is going to be it. But now with the return of, I guess the return game is going to change things. It's going to be more points on the board. It's going to give you better field position. And LRZ, who's very accomplished in rugby, can definitely help us out. And so him saying with Justin, which I didn't like that idea. I know Andy talked about Justin Reed. I know Justin can do it. We've seen him do it last year. But if you can have a guy that can kind of take that pressure off of him, of doing those things, and let Justin play defense, be the captain of the secondary, one of our prominent guys on defense, I would rather Justin do that and just concentrate on that as opposed to him kicking and, breaking a toe or having any of those things, whatever it may be. LRZ has the ability to go down and do the kickoff, but also go down and make tackles. So I agree with Toub on that. But we'll see some of his talent. Like you said, you got some film of him kicking the football, right? Or kicking maybe the rugby ball and stuff like that, and maybe some return and stuff. So let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do.
Let's dig in, JD. JD, this is a little film review from our former special teams coach and former Chiefs tight end, Jason Dunn. So we're going to get into the special teams room with JD here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kicking a rugby ball, which those things are massive, and I'm sure they're tough as heck to kick. So, looks like it's a little windy there too in Wales over there.
Oh yeah, so that's the weather over there. It's always like that. So he can adjust.
So now we're gonna go to catching, kick returns, punt returns.
Mm-hmm. So that last one, he didn't really get up underneath it, but this one right here was a good job getting up underneath it. Mm-hmm. You didn't want to catch it on the side of your body, and with the rules right now, guys can't take off running until a guy catches the football. So but to me, yeah, he's got an element, man. He looks like a very tough kid. I watched him in some of the highlights, man, in rugby, and when they talk about, his accomplishments, what he was able to do, in that sport, I think it translates well over here, especially in the return game. So if we're talking about in kickoff, going down and covering, or also too on the return game, he can do all those different things. He can kick the ball off, so you don't have to have Buckner doing it and then having, trying to train Buckner to go down and make tackles. You don't have to do that now, especially when we're talking about now where the rules have changed, and it's a legitimate chance for guys going to be able to return the football. Who's going in there and put his nose in and make a tackle? I don't think that's a question about it. So his toughness and tenacity is not a question. I think it's just understanding everything as far as what all he needs to do, how to find the holes now, gaining that vision. I've seen him talk about it where he said it's vastly different. It's vastly different. But it's just learning where the spaces are, where everybody is, and just getting used to it. He said he's one of those guys that learn from, actually getting reps and doing it, like what most of us do. And so as much as he can get of that, the better off he's going to be. We know he can run the football. It's going to be different with pads on. It's different with a helmet on. The vision is kind of skewed a little bit, obviously from where, you don't have any type of obstruction. But when he learns the blocking scheme, and I'm sure Toub is going to put some things together to get guys ready to get up to the next level, and then you had to get past, maybe the kicker who other teams don't have, somebody else to come in and relinquish that spot. I think he can definitely find a position here. So I like it, Marcus. I really do. I like this. I think if a guy can give what he can give, especially a guy who's hungry, shoot, why not give him a shot? If he's doing well all during training camp and it looks like he's gotten it, sure. I'll go for it.
Well, the thing I do like about this is the fact that, and I'm not saying he's going to get, or he's not going to be our third down back. I think if he makes the team, it's going to be strictly what you always talk about, JD, trying to make yourself available in every position you can possibly be in. So not only is the guy, he could be a gunner on special teams, he could also be a potential kicker. He could also be a return man. He's going to do a lot of different things that maybe not a lot of guys can do, right? Like if you are going to be the fourth running back or the third running back, usually the third running back's not kicking the ball. They're not making themselves available to be another kicker. So that just gives him another kind of weapon in his bag that he can kind of, provide to the team potentially for them to keep him around. And I do like that. I mean, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife that we've really never seen in the league before. A guy who could be a lot of different things, including being a specialist who can also be a backup kicker or backup punter. I mean, he could be a lot of different things. I mean, what he's bringing from rugby, because usually like Jordan Mailata is the only one I could think of, the tackle for the Eagles, and he was kind of a big brute kind of guy. He wasn't like a specialist kind of guy. So we're kind of implementing something that never really been done before. And if it does work out in our favor, where he can be a kick returner, punt returner, or potentially a backup kicker, this is something that the Chiefs have something here where it could be a kind of a trend-setting moment here in the league if this does work out in that respect. What do you think about that?
I think it is. I think you have certain sports translate well into football, right? Certain skill sets. The things they do in rugby translate well into some of the special team-wise what we do in football here, okay? Like you said, a kick in, returning, the tackling. One of the things they brought in for the Seattle Seahawks, they was talking about getting the rugby tackle because it was a little bit more kind of conducive to what we do, but it was more practical, plus it kept injuries off as well. And so they studied that. They got a rugby guy that was teaching them how to make tackles. Same thing. I seen where Sean up in with the Bills, McDermott brought on a wrestler, to play defensive tackle on the D line. And he says, hey man, I think, from my note, he's a very accomplished, wrestler anyway himself, will translate well on the D line. And I agree with it. Look, and all my guys that I coached in high school, all my linemen, I would always try to tell them, I want y'all to wrestle. Please wrestle. That way you understand angles, leverage, how to push on people. Like you'll get a feel, being a little bit more Physical. My son, who was playing when he started wrestling, became a whole different type of player, And you see those things. When I became a college coach, I would look to recruit guys that had a wrestling background because I knew that they had a little bit more physical part to it. Like you're in the ring by yourself, and you just had this drive about you that some other people may not have. So different sports translate well. Okay, we understand that. You know, that whole thing about a month ago that we're talking about Austin Rivers and Pat McAfee talking about basketball translating into football. Well, yeah, you can be a receiver, you can catch the football. We're not gonna go up and get a ball. Shoot, you maybe get rebounds in basketball, but the physical aspect is something that you miss out on. Okay, which is a huge component in football, and so. I think, man, Toub is on to something. I think they've really seen something here. I think this pathway to the NFL is a great program. I think it's a very great program. So I hope this does kind of take off, man, because I think it's something that's beneficial not only just for the NFL, but also too for Europe and all those things, bringing it to those people to try to open the doors up a little bit more, right, into these things. So that's how I feel about it. So
what do you think about the because Toub also in that presser kind of mentioned, having, Justin may not have to do that. Not Justin, Harrison wouldn't have to do, kickoffs if you have Reed doing it, if you have our guy LRC doing it. What do you think about the idea of, hey, like, let's take that burden off our kicker, the potential injuries of having to go down and make a tackle, and then you kind of you leave it up to where, hey, focus on PATs, you focus on field goals, forget about that, the tackling element of that. We got that taken care of. What do you think about that? For the kind of mental for a kicker, that's like, okay, you're taking one less thing off my plate. I can just focus in on knocking these things down. Yeah,
that's it. I think, and not saying that he had so much on his plate. It's not a big deal. He's kicking out more than in other people because the Chiefs score a lot of points, right? Patching those guys getting into the end zone. So he has to do that. But I think for him, he's probably doing a sign of relief. Like, okay, shoot, if you could take this off my plate from going down and making a tackle, fine, without a doubt, please do it. Because everybody keeps giving, Pat McAfee going down and making tackles and stuff. Kickers not necessarily known as big tacklers, right? They kind of, who was the one guy we seen it, last year. Joker blew his hamstring out, didn't he? He was chasing with the Bills, Buffalo Bills. It was in the playoffs, in the kicker, because they didn't know if the kicker was going to play or not. And, he came back kicking field goals, but I think he had pulled a hammy trying to tackle a guy. I'm trying to think what game it was. I think it was maybe the game before us, I believe. But I remember that. I remember Sucker trying to make a tackle. I'm like, he is not ready for that.
In the Steelers game, when they played the Steelers?
Was the Steelers? I don't know what game it was. It was, I thought it was a playoff game.
Yeah, because they played the Steelers right before they played us.
Okay, well, yeah. Then so that's what it was. So yeah, he's trying to make a tackle and he pulls his hammy. And so that put him in, jeopardy as far as kicking field goals, right? So it's like, daggone. But because me and the barbershop, we actually talked about this. And so me and Shop argue about a lot of different things, right? I love it. And I was saying, Shop, I'm telling you, tackling is part of what a kicker has to do. He knows it's on his resume because he's the last line of defense. If something it pops off, he's got to make the tackle. So either it's punt return or kickoff return. The kicker's got to learn how to make a tackle. He's got to learn how to learn leverage, use the sideline and the boundary, to get help from the other guys. He's got to know all those different things. I'm not getting a kicker who doesn't know how to tackle. Like you still got to learn some bit of that. Because things can break, man. I'm telling you, the dam can break, right? What are you going to do? Are you going to be the guy that's going to put the finger in the hole, right? In the dam, stop the water from going? Hopefully that's who you are. So
this could be the beginning of, a kind of a new kind of breed of kicker where, like, for the last few years, especially, and they Toub in that same press conference talked about the amount of touchbacks there have been in the NFL over the last few years because of the new rules and stuff. And this is going to allow for like the special teams that kickoff return to actually matter again, where it hasn't really mattered. And like, it's the evolution of every position. Every position changes over time.
Yeah.
And I think like, back in the day you had more statue pocket quarterbacks, whereas now we've started to see mobility has become a big thing with having quarterbacks. You're starting to see guys who aren't just pocket quarterbacks anymore. We're starting to see mobility a little bit more in all types of quarterbacks. And I think maybe the evolution of the kicker is more athletic type of guys like the Justin Reeds of the world who aren't safeties, but guys who are like athletic beasts like that, who are kickers, or the LRZ type of guys who the guy can field the kickoff and he can kick off the ball. And maybe that is kind of the evolution. If this kickoff rule does become a thing where it's like, oh man, it actually works, and like, you have 11 guys down there going to make tackles, not a guy who just a soccer player is playing football now, like which is kind of what's become, right?
Yeah. And that evolution is something that we know happens in the NFL. There's more value now in a quarterback can do both. And so I think they're starting to see it, and they know how dangerous that's been. But as far as kickers, now look, there's a couple of things that may have to happen. You start hiring guys to do the kickoff and all those, you have to take some of that pay from some of these kickers now. Okay. It might touch some of their pockets. I don't know if they're gonna be okay with that, right? So they might be up in arms on those things. You have the kickers striking the NFL. It might be some bad business, but we can get some guys to replace that, right? Like you said, we get some guys who are doing those things on there. But we understand that they're a weapon as well. But yeah, man, I think with LRZ could definitely start a trend. It could. We don't know how far this is going to go. The Chiefs, being the ones that are setting this trend, are going to set this thing. I hope everything works out. So, look, guy hadn't made the roster. We don't know if he's going to be the return man. He might start dropping everything. We don't know. Shoot. But the thing is, I think we give him a chance and give him an opportunity. Let me see. See, Chad says special teams is one of the most valuable parts of the game. No question about it. It can switch the ends of the field, and you even have the option of scoring. Definitely. And so that's why it's so vital that you have somebody out there that can be able to stop somebody, maybe on the return game to make the tackle. Because 22%, Marcus, that's what the return has been. With the old rules, 22%. That's insane, okay? That's 2 out of 10 that we were seeing. People hated just seeing the kickoff because there was nothing excited about that anymore. And so now it brings the excitement back in the game. Now it's going to look totally different than what it was before, right? You got one team on the 30 and the 35, and then you got to get the zone that you got to be able to get the football, okay? Return zone. So that's going to be it's going to be interesting, man, to watch this. It's totally different. Be very interested. I didn't watch a whole lot of the XFL, so I didn't really see what the return rate was, or maybe success on returning 4 touchdowns either. I want somebody to have a stat on that. I'd love to see it, what it was, but it's something, man. It's going to be new, but I believe if a guy could do more, the more you can do, the better off you're going to be. Okay, and like my nephew said right there, special teams are one of the most valuable parts of the game. And that is key. That's a key part about it. You got to have the right fit, the right guys. And I'll say this, and I'll kind of end it on this point. If you're looking for who's going to be returning now for us, okay, who are you going to utilize? Not only as returner, but also going down as a gunner and going down to tackle too. Okay, a lot of wide receivers are not good going down and tackling, so you might use a DB. Okay, you might use a DB to go do those things. But now, if you got a guy like LRZ who can do all those different things, like you said, a Swiss Army knife, then that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. So he might cut out somebody, a wide receiver. It's a possibility on those things. So it's something we just got to look into, man. Something we got to look into. But I like it.
Yeah, I think the special teams, because I know a lot of people said, "Oh, he could be our passing down back." No, I think his ticket to this team is being the Swiss Army knife as a specialist, being a potential kicker, being a gunner, being a return man, just being in this kind of what we're talking about here. I think this is his ticket to making the 53-man roster, 100%.
Right. So with that, let's keep Justin Reed out of it. Okay. Justin, we don't need you right now. Okay. We love the anomaly last year that you was able to do. Look great, but concentrate on playing safety. Buckner, go ahead and kick it down the pipe. We understand that's what you're going to do. Okay. And like my nephew said, kickers score the most points in the league. And we need you just to do that. We don't need for you to get hurt or pull a hammy, put you in any type of harm's way. We got a guy here that can do that. Okay. And his name is LRZ. So.
Yeah. So I'm all in on this LRZ being making the squad. If he could provide this niche that's never been done before in the NFL, which it seems like and it looks like we're the only team right now. I mean, I'm not really paying attention to the other teams' kicking games, especially kickoffs. Mm-hmm. Sounds like we're the guinea pig to this whole rugby experiment and using a guy who actually tackle, a guy who's done it before to go down there and also kick off the ball and kind of experiment with this new rule. So I'm really excited. I don't know about you. I know you're a former special teams coach, JD, but you love special teams, and the last few years in the NFL, it hasn't really been the same with it when FAs have changed things. I'm really excited to watch special teams this year.
So the difference is setting up like the blocking is going to be a little bit different. Okay. And what our Toub's going to do, I could just think in my head when I was just thinking about it today, setting a couple of things up, how you can do it, because you can have to have 9 that's on the line or in that zone, and you can have 2 back or 1 back, but you can't even do more than that. So you got to get creative with that, man. We'll see what that's going to look like too. Who's it said that LRZ is going to have a hell of a welcome to the NFL moment? Yes, he is. I wonder who's going to be the first one to tattoo him. I wonder who's going to be the first one to put that at Rydell or Shut or whatever they use on him. But you know what? That joke is tough enough, man. I know he'll be able to take it. He'll be fine. But that'll wake him up.
Kathy Welch, guys, I'm not buying an LRZ jersey just yet. You know what? I will say, all right, I'm not buying LRZ just yet. Of course, probably not. You're obviously not buying the jersey. But yeah, I would say I'm not buying him as far as the running back that a lot of people think. Because, I've seen so many people saying, we have our third down back. It's LRZ. Yeah. No, we don't.
No,
he's not that. But these other things we're talking about, he's proven he can do those things. Hence why we show the kicking clips, the catching, return clips. And obviously, we don't know if he can do that yet because we haven't seen him do that in pads, and that's a whole new element to everything as well. But I'm hopeful that he can do this, especially if Toub's talking the way he is talking about it and trying to limit Harrison Butker. So I'm buying that. So
yeah. It's about time that I need to see LRZ in action with pads for sure. Yeah. And that's what is going to be the deciding factor. Okay, is it going to be a garage sale? That's the question. If y'all know what I mean, a garage sale. When you get hit, there goes socks, shoes, jersey, hats, helmets. Like you got all these items out here on the lawn. So we'll just have to see. I think you'll be all right.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.